studios of WDBO in sunny Orlando, Florida, here's talk radio host Joe Kelly's Behind the News podcast, where Joe and his listeners and guests discuss the most important issues of the day, plus the crazy and bizarre stories of the infamous Florida man. Here's Joe Kelly.
I know on any other day, it's fun to make fun of Arkansas because, it's Arkansas. And I've spent my fair share of time in Arkansas. I never lived there, but my mom lives there. My brother lives in Arkansas. But Arkansas has just been hit by an absolutely catastrophic tornado, particularly towards Little Rock. My mom and my brother live in Hot Springs, which is a little bit to the left and down from. So it would be it's southwest of Little Rock, and I already called my mom today to make sure she was okay, and my mom and my brother are fine. But man, the video and the images coming out of Arkansas right now, if you thought Mississippi was bad with the tornado damage there, it looks like the tornado damage in Arkansas is going to be quite a bit worse. We're not seeing any damage totals yet or loss of life or injuries, but we're going to keep a close eye on that. But please, if you're the praying type, I've already stopped to say my prayers for the people of Arkansas. It's even moving up to St. Louis, and this is a storm band that is going to continue to move across the United States throughout the night tonight. But boy, if you would be so kind as to just say a quick prayer for the safety of all of our friends and family, brothers and sisters, moms and dads, and total strangers that live in Arkansas. They are really getting pummeled right now by this long, long line of tornadoes that have been hitting that state for the last hour or so. My name is Joe Kelly. It is a Friday night, and we're always excited when we get to Friday because we can kind of chill out a little bit. We know that everybody works hard all week long, and weekdays are stressful. Weekends are still stressful, but not as stressful as weekdays. And we just like to kind of take it a little bit easier on a Friday night. We don't like to get into big arguments or debates on Friday nights. We try to take it easy a bit. But I do want to give a preview, though, of MegaCon that is going on this weekend at the Orange County Convention Center. And our chief nerd correspondent, Laurel Lee, has her finger on the pulse.
That was aggressive.
That has her. Would you agree with that, Laurel?
Yeah, that's fine. It's true.
It is absolutely true. But you've got your finger on the pulse of all things MegaCon. I don't think you've missed a MegaCon in the last decade. But MegaCon has really gone from kind of a fringe con to being one of the nation's biggest and most important cons.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to just be the little local con in Orlando, and now, like, the two big ones people know across the country are San Diego Comic-Con and Dragon Con, which happens in California and Atlanta, respectively.
Right.
This one is up there now. I mean, we have huge stars making their way to Orlando this weekend just to say hi to fans, and there's going to be thousands and thousands of people around the Orange County Convention Center.
And let me set this up for you, as you may wonder what it's like when these stars appear. There's an entire row at MegaCon where all of these stars are lined up, and they sit kind of up on a stage a little bit behind a table. They usually have protection, security of some sort, just to keep the fans from overrunning them. And depending on how big the star is, some of the smaller, lesser-named stars don't have quite as much tabling around them and protection around them. But some of the big stars, I remember a couple of years ago, the guy from Princess Bride, Prince Wesley. What is the actor's name?
Carrie
Elways. I remember he was there a couple of years ago, and he was so snooty that his entire booth was closed off.
He was behind curtains. You couldn't put your eyes on him.
You couldn't even see him. Whereas Stan Lee, he was in a wheelchair at that point, but Stan Lee would just mingle amongst the crowd, but Carrie Elways was behind curtains. You couldn't even sneak a free peek at him. And sometimes the celebs get angry if you're taking pictures of them without paying. Now, what do I mean by that? Of course, you have to pay to get into MegaCon, but you also have to pay extra to get pictures with or autographs from the celebrities, right?
Correct. So they could be as little as $60, as much as Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars, is, $200 a pop just to get a photo with him.
Yeah.
So depending on the height of the celebrity and how much demand, I paid about $80 for $80 each for 4 different people to get photos today.
And so who are your go-to got to get pictures of this time, this MegaCon?
This time it's actually nobody. Well, it's one person from Star Wars / Breaking Bad is Giancarlo Esposito.
That guy's awesome.
He's amazing. I had to get him. I had to get John Bernthal, who's been in Walking Dead.
The Punisher.
And he's the Punisher. And because
you've always liked John Bernthal.
I have a crush on him.
I know, and I don't get it. I don't understand that.
My husband doesn't either. It's okay.
He's a scary dude to me, but still.
Yep, I had to get Charlie Cox, who is Daredevil on Netflix.
And he's great.
And then Vincent D'Onofrio is coming. And I'm just like, when am I going to see Vincent D'Onofrio again? I've got to see him.
Vincent D'Onofrio, in case you don't know, I think that the role that everybody would most know him from is from
Full Metal Jacket?
Oh, yeah, I guess I was going to say that. I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say the one with Will Smith and where he plays the bug.
Oh, yeah,
Men in Black.
Men in Black.
So he plays the Edgar suit in Men in Black. So if you remember Men in Black when the spaceship lands and it kills the exterminator, and then he wears his body as a suit for the rest of the movie, that's Vincent D'Onofrio. Vincent D'Onofrio is a first-class Rick. Now, the P in that word is silent, but believe me, there's a P in that word. He is a first-class Rick, Vincent D'Onofrio is. And I wonder if he's less Rickish if you're paying money to get an autograph with him or to see him. Remember, he says, bring me sugar and water. More. So Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars prequel films, and he played Anakin Skywalker in the most recent Obi-Wan series, right? Is it true, though, Laurel, that when you go to meet Hayden Christensen, he really likes it when you bring a small sample of sand with him?
No, I think that's a rumor, and you probably shouldn't do that.
Okay, James McAvoy is also going to be there. McAvoy.
Yeah, so he's known X-Men and Split, which was an amazing movie. He's that guy.
I can't believe Chevy Chase from the National Lampoon series, along with Anthony Michael Hall, Dana Barron, and Christy Brinkley. So the original family from National Lampoon's Vacation.
And they have the National Lampoon car there. Everybody's taking photos of it and posting them with all the stuff on top. So it's something you can go see when you go there, is that car from the set. Like
Vincent D'Onofrio, Chevy Chase is a Rick.
Yes.
Again, the P is silent, but yes, you'll get the idea. Charlie Hunnam, and Emilio Rivera from Sons of Anarchy. Rosario Dawson from Ashoka is going to be there. Is she not still dating Cory Booker, the senator, Cory Booker?
I don't know. Ahsoka, but yeah, I don't know.
John Cleese, who God is my witness, I thought was dead. I didn't realize John Cleese from Monty Python is still alive. Gwendolyn Christie, who is in Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and Wednesday is going to be there. We'll have some more of these big celebrity names that are going to be in Orlando this weekend for you. Coming up next, stay right there. Our friend Chris Chan from Winter Garden, Chris just texted me a picture of him standing with Henry Winkler, the Fonz. And I'm so excited, and it's so hard to believe when you look at Henry Winkler today that guy was one of the biggest sex symbols in America, back in the 1970s or so. But Henry Winkler is one of the celebrities that is there, and just in case you'll want to know, I wrote back the Fonz, and Chris wrote, he was so kind, and that's exactly what I would expect from Henry Winkler. That makes me very happy to hear that. Also appearing out there is Christina Ricci from the Addams Family, Sam Raimi, who directed the Spider-Man trilogy, Zachary Levi, who's got a movie in the box office right now, Shazam. He's appearing out there. As you mentioned, John Bernthal, Steve from Blue's Clues is there.
The original Steve, the OG.
The OG Steve from Blue's Clues. Also, the entire cast of Scream, most of the cast from Scream. Neve Campbell, who I had a big crush on when that first came out. Jamie Kennedy, who we've not seen in forever. Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich. And then from The Mandalorian, as you said, Giancarlo Esposito. And Carl Weathers is going to be there. Carl Weathers is a big deal. The Cobra Kai cast, Ralph Macchio and all those guys are going to be there.
Yeah, the two big names.
Right.
I mean, the two main guys are going to be there from Cobra Kai. Plus, if you watch the new series, the two minor, main kids are going to be there.
Sean Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy. Gates McFadden from Star Trek. I know that's not the right star system for you, Laurel.
I just got into it, but yeah.
But Gates McFadden was Dr. Crusher.
She was Wesley
Dr.
Crusher's mother.
Yes. And Mark Paul Gosselaar from Saved by the Bell is going to be out there as well. So that's cool. There's a lot of great celebrity sighting opportunities for people this weekend. If you want to go hang out by the Orange County Convention Center, tickets are still available. Then you have to pay a little bit extra if you want to be able to meet some of those celebrities.
But there's plenty of fun free stuff as well.
Oh, there is.
So, yeah, just if you don't want to see celebrities, fine, but there's thousands of vendors. There's all kind of cool movie replicas. And, of course, thousands of people in costume.
Lots of great merch. I mean, great T-shirts, hats, and all kinds of merchandise. And it's a lot of fun. I don't have plans to go this year, but I have been pretty much every year in the past, and it is an awful lot of fun. All right, my name is Joe Kelly. By the way, this weekend is the Spring Fiesta in the park in downtown Orlando at Lake Eola Park. It's open 10 to 5 Saturday and 10 to 5 Sunday. But I'd like to point out that I'm going to be at the WDBO tent from 10 a.m. to noon on Saturday, and I hope you'll come by and join me while I'm out there. And Laurel and Randy and Amy and Sophie and Paul and Arushi, if you guys can come out there and join me, I'm sure our audience would love to meet you out there as well. But I do want to bring everybody else into the fold here for our Friday night fun and games. And tonight we're not playing Would You Rather. We're not playing the generational gap. We're playing Scruples tonight. So we're going to find out what kind of people you really are. If you're honest people, if you're compassionate people, if you're caring people, or if you're just scum of the earth people. We'll figure it out tonight. We're going to get this all sorted out here in the next 10 minutes or so.
I am evil.
Yeah, that was Sophie. All right, so here's our first question. This is a Scruples question. You're waiting at a red light. It's 4 a.m. There's not another...
Yes.
There's not another car in sight. Do you run the light? Laurel.
It depends how long it takes. If I'm sitting there for more than 2 minutes, then yeah, I'm running it.
Randy.
No, I've been T-boned before.
Amy.
No.
Sophie. So if you put the microphone, there you go.
It's not on. Someone had left this not on current programming, so my bad. Wonder who that was. Anyways, I didn't hear the question, so I will refrain.
Paul Cross.
I have sat at a light in the middle of the night for 5-10 minutes, rolling backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards,
flashing your
to try
brights.
to get that. Well, try to get that little meter, those little lines on the roadway. Yeah, so I don't go.
I will tell you that, and I'm being completely honest here. If I'm stuck at a red light at 4 a.m. and I'm looking around and there is nobody coming from any direction, and I am certain that intersection does not have red light cameras, I will run the light.
Don't try in Winter Park.
Yeah, but because it's the red light cameras that decide whether or not I'm going to run that light. Somebody has stolen your bike, Laurel. At the police station, you're shown a similar one, but you know it's not yours. Do you claim it?
No, I want mine.
Randy.
No, I wouldn't claim it.
Sophie.
No, I'm too picky.
Amy.
No.
Paul.
Not at all. No.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't claim it either. That's not going to happen. You think the cleaning woman is sipping your booze when you're out. Do you mention it to her, Laurel?
I make my husband mention it to her.
Randy.
I'd need to have proof first.
Proof, I get it.
Absolutely confirm.
Proof, alcohol, proof, yes. Sophie.
I would just ask.
Yeah. Amy.
I would need proof.
I would mark the bottle.
That's proof.
I would just put a little line on the bottle as to where, not that my parents ever did that. My father, when my brother and I were teenagers, my father was in sales, and my dad every year would get cases and cases of alcohol. And I hate to say this, but my brother and I would often go in and just grab a bottle because they would never miss it. So, yeah, I guess I was less scrupulous as a child than I am.
Oh, so that's
today.
why they're called Scruples.
Yes, that's why it's called that. Your best friend asks to borrow $2,000 for a year. Do you charge interest, Laurel?
Oh, God. Okay. No, I won't.
Randy?
If I theoretically did, yes. If I theoretically had $2,000 just to loan at any time, then yes.
Just to give out,
Sophie?
No, I would never.
Amy?
I don't like as much, it's got to be a really close friend.
Paul?
It's the quickest way to lose friends by loaning them money.
I mean,
so
I don't like mixing money with friends.
Money always comes back to you, so I never worry.
I will tell you that this is actually addressed in the Bible, and the Bible says don't loan money to family members, don't loan money to anybody. So I would not loan money to anybody unless if it was a close personal family member, I would give them the money.
That's exactly
Yeah,
it.
it's
Give
more
it to
on
them.
that end. I
But-
wouldn't really be like, you got to give it back.
Yeah, but I would not loan them the money. We'll continue finding out what kind of scumbags we all work with and what kind of scumbags we are. We'll have that. All right, you're on an airplane. An old man asks if you'll change seats with his wife so that he and his wife can sit together. You came early to get a window seat and you don't like the wife's location. Do you move, Laurel?
Yes, because I'm a coward.
Oh, maybe yes because you're so kind.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Aw, Laurel the sweetie.
Yeah, Randy.
No way. Personal responsibility. If you liked her that much, you would have paid $35 to sit next to her. Stop it.
Absolutely.
Get away from me. Why are you talking to me? Go
Sophie.
away.
I'm nice, but I'm not nice enough to sit somewhere where I have to sit between two people. I'm very gross about being near people. I'm so sorry, old man. No.
Nicole.
Yeah, same way. You should have just paid for the seat. Like,
No,
I
but
pay.
it's-
I pay to be in the aisle, so I don't bother anyone when I have
Yeah.
to pee 100 times.
Right.
So if I can do that and have personal responsibility at the age of 20, you can do it at the age of whatever.
Paul.
They don't understand technology.
I have done that before. Yes, I would change the seats with them, but then I'd make sure that the flight attendants know that I just did a good deed and maybe get a free drink. You know.
Ooh, yeah.
So sweet.
I honestly, I think for me, to be totally honest, it would depend on a couple of circumstances. How long is the flight? Are there layovers with the flight? Exactly who would I end up sitting next to? Am I going to sit next to someone smelly? Am I going to sit to next to a crying baby? I mean, I think it would depend on what my move would be too. But yeah, for me it kind of depends. You suspect a neighbor. This should be easy for everybody, I hope. You suspect a neighbor is abusing her children. Your attempts to discuss it have been rebuffed. Do you notify the authorities, Laurel?
100%.
Randy?
Absolutely. I'm like the first person to call the police for a
Yep.
situation anyways.
Sophie?
I'm sorry, notice your neighbor is what?
Your neighbor is abusing her children.
Oh,
You suspect that your neighbor is abusing her children.
I would say something, but I wouldn't go straight to the cops.
Right. But your attempts to discuss it with her have been rebuffed.
I would go to something different, not the cops.
What is different besides the cops?
I don't know.
Child Protective Services, maybe?
Yeah, DCF or something.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Nicole?
No, I mean, I guess the cops could just call DC. I feel like that's just skipping a step. But yeah, I would call.
Paul?
It's a kid. I protect the kid all
Absolutely.
times.
Me too. I won't even hesitate. I will call the police post haste. You hear a woman screaming in the parking lot behind your house in a sketchy neighborhood. There you go. You live in a sketchy neighborhood. Do you try to go out and help her? Laurel?
After I grab my gun, yeah.
Randy?
Blood curdling, getting murdered, scream. Because I lived in downtown Orlando, I'm so desensitized to people yelling and screaming. If I just got up every single time someone was yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
But sure, if it sounded like someone's actively dying, I'd at least look out the window.
Sophie?
If it sounds like someone's dying, I'll call the cops, but I'm not going out there. I'm small.
You
small.
are. You're very dainty. Yes, you're petite. You couldn't offer much help.
No, I can't do anything.
Nicole,
I wouldn't even look outside of my window. I would just look through the cameras that we have.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to see me in the window. And then if I see something, I'll call the cops. But I'm also quite petite and cannot offer much
There's
help.
a very famous case out of New York from the late 1960s. Kitty Genovese. You're right.
That was in my psychology class.
I'm impressed that you know that,
in
Sophie.
high school, I learned that.
Kitty Genovese was a lesbian woman who was working at a bar late at night, and she was walking home from the bar to her home when she got assaulted by a man.
And she was stabbed pretty violently.
Violently.
And it's known as responsibility diffusion, the idea that someone else is going to do something about a situation.
That's right. It's the
So you can keep
bystander
walking.
syndrome. It's also known as the bystander syndrome.
You took that class in high school and you remember all of that?
I loved psychology.
Yeah, because it's such an interesting case. So the attacker ran away because she started screaming for help, and people opened their windows saying, "Hey, get away from her!" And so the attacker left, but then the attacker came back because nobody ever called the police.
They kept walking.
Everybody just minding their own damn business.
New
Way
York.
to drop the ball, guys.
So the attacker came back and finished her off. and that led to an entire psychological study on what Sophie just said, the bystander syndrome.
Yep. There's one with kittens. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. So we'll continue more of our Scruples Friday nights as we get to know everybody a little bit better. We find out our strengths and weaknesses, our fears, and our braveries. That'll be coming up next right here on WDBO. Stay right there. Be sure and join me. Coming up tomorrow, I'll be out there at Lake Eola Park for Spring Fiesta in the Park, 10 a.m. to noon at the WDBO tent. We'd love to get a chance to meet you. Laurel, Nicole, Sophie, Randy, will any of you be joining me out there to meet our listeners? I'd like to point out, unlike MegaCon, we don't charge for autographs or pictures.
Is this a Scruples question?
No, this is not. This is just legit. This is just a legit question.
If your boss asks you to go to an event, which you don't really know because it's your weekend.
Right. Okay, so the food at the restaurant is a total ripoff, but the hurried waitress does her best to provide great service. Do you leave a tip, Laurel?
I was a server for 6 years.
Yep.
I will leave her 20% plus.
I figured you would, knowing that you were a server. Randy?
Absolutely. Just giving like the unethical wages and tipping culture we have in the state. She could spit on me and I would leave her 20%. Just come on.
Yeah. Sophie?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a coward for social constructs. So if I'm with someone who's like, you better tip well, I do. I listen.
Nicole?
Yes, absolutely. It's not her fault.
Nope.
Like, she's not the owner of the restaurant and she doesn't deserve to be punished.
But if she was a jerk, 15.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul?
Yes, absolutely, always.
Me too. The taxi driver that you get at 2 a.m. is drunk and driving recklessly. After he lets you off home safely, do you report him? Laurel?
Yeah.
Randy?
I've seen enough of those.
I'd probably report him before I'm leaving.
That's where I am. I mean, the second, if I'm in the back seat, the second I think he's drunk, I'm calling 911. The second I think he's drunk. Sophie?
I'd find a way to issue a bolo on it. He's not just endangering me, he's endangering others.
That's right. A bolo, for those that don't know the cop lingo, be on the lookout. Nicole?
I would do the same thing.
Yep.
I would call while I'm in there.
I've done it even when the person's just next to me in traffic.
Paul?
Talk him off the cliff, and there's no way he's taking those keys to go anywhere else.
Yep, you better believe it. All right, you're a doctor. Get this. This one's kind of complicated. You're a doctor, and you have diagnosed a terminal illness to a family, and they beg you to keep it from the patient. When the patient asks, do you tell him or her the truth, Laurel?
Yes, it's their right to know. Yes.
Randy?
Absolutely. It's his body. He deserves to know what's going on in it.
Sophie?
I think you could lose your license, so yeah, I'm telling the truth.
Right. I do think that there are, and certainly a doctor or somebody in the medical profession could answer that for us, but I do believe that they are compelled to tell the patient what the issue is. Nicole?
I would tell him.
Paul?
Yeah, if the family doesn't have power of attorney over that patient, then you must tell the patient, for sure.
And the only caveat I would make is, and I've dealt with family members who had to go through Alzheimer's, and sometimes when you tell someone they have Alzheimer's, it's just as bad, if not worse, than them actually having Alzheimer's. Because they realize that they're forgetting things. They realize that things are going downhill. All right, last question. Are you ready?
Go.
A friend wants to copy and swap some expensive software. You know it's illegal. Do you swap, Laurel?
Well, it depends on what I'm getting out of it. Am I getting something good? If I'm getting something good, yes.
Randy?
No victim, no crime.
Sophie?
You wouldn't download a computer, but I would. I'm kidding. I've never done anything.
Nicole?
Actually.
I mean, yeah, no victim, no crime. I agree.
Wow.
If the victim
Paul.
is a
It
corporation,
doesn't harm anybody.
How do you guys see this as a victimless crime? I mean, somebody designed the software.
They're making
and they're
enough
paid a
money.
small
Okay,
amount
come
off
on.
of it.
He's like, oh my God, the poor software
It's like-
developers
it's like
that make
think-
millions.
Wow.
They're fine.
You're like asking us to
I-
think of
Pour
someone
one out
rich.
for Microsoft.
Yeah, poor
Hey,
guys.
was-
poor guys.
Paul?
I was raised Catholic. I've got enough guilt in my life. Anyway,
Yeah.
I will tell you in no uncertain terms, and I've been in that situation, and I've had a family member that I have squabbled with about this for a long time. I never, ever in my life have stolen software or music. I just absolutely will not do that because it is theft and it's not a victimless crime. My name is Joe Kelly. Have a great Friday night. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much to our cast of characters with Laurel and Randy, Sophie, Nicole, Paul, and me, Joe Kelly.